My name is Jonathan Epstein, founder of Super Glorious, and you are watching another episode of Super G Partners and Plugs. And today, our special guest is Herve Jean-Baptiste, aka Success Is My Cologne. Let me tell you a little bit about Herve. Hailing from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and now based in the city I love, Boston, Herve is a dynamic force in high-end fashion, merchandising, streetwear, and lifestyle curation. With over a decade of expertise in professional image consulting, wardrobe coordination, and personal brand development, he has built a reputation as a go-to stylist and creative consultant. As the founder of Success Is My Cologne, Herve has helped countless clients refine their image, connect with brands that align with their vision, and develop a personal style that exudes confidence. His work spans from personal shopping experiences to event curation, voice-over artistry, and even marketing strategy. He's known for his authenticity, his eye for detail, and his ability to bring ideas to life. Beyond styling, Herve's creative influence extends into major collaborations, including a standout voiceover project for the Boston Celtics' 2023 campaign for the playoffs, an achievement that cemented his impact in the world of branding and storytelling. But what truly sets Herve apart is his philosophy, his belief that creators must fight for their ideas, stay true to their vision, and build genuine relationships. His journey has been anything but smooth, but through resilience and unwavering sense of purpose, he carved a lane that is distinctly his own. So, without further ado, let's dive into this conversation with the one, the only, Herve Jean-Baptiste. That's really well written, Tony.
Very well written.
I was getting a little emotional. I hate to say it.
Good.
I did. I got a little bit choked up. Really nice. Okay, so then the questions here, I'll say, like the origins of, tell me about your origins of style and creativity, your journey into fashion. What sparked your love? So I'll ask the question.
Go right into the higher. All
right. Okay.
Lab.
Yep.
Let's get right into it.
Does my hat look okay?
Yeah, it's vibes.
Okay. On dog.
On dogs.
On dogs. This is on God.
On God. On God is when like you mean like
Emphatically.
I mean like you're like with finality.
Okay.
Like with like conviction.
Okay.
That's what on God is. You can compare that to conviction, finality. On
Okay.
God. But on dogs is more like a for certain. Like seriously.
All right. All right, tell me when you're ready. The origins of style and creativity. Your journey into fashion, styling, and creative consultancy is deeply personal.
Yes.
Let me ask you, what sparked your love for fashion and storytelling through style?
It's a great question. So obviously I'm Haitian. Growing up, our family is always more concerned about our faith rather than anything fun we have going on. And so the first times I remember, showing up as my best self and getting dressed and feeling fly was in church. And so in church, I used to see, the pastors wear vibrant colors and the ladies wear their big, either a small beret or a hat. And it was just to, just show up as your best self. And through going to church and having those certain garments, a lot of Jordan Cartrell, I think that was the name of the brand, Jordan Cartrell. It was in church that I really found my style, honestly.
Amazing. I have similar memories, but going to temple, watching my mother wear high holiday outfits. There was a lot of jewelry and huge hats. All right, the evolution of the tastemaker,
Yes.
which is when I met you several years ago.
Yes.
You were slowly ascending that tastemaker mountain. You describe yourself as someone with their ears on the ground, always tapped into culture.
Yeah.
How do you stay ahead of trends while maintaining your own unique voice?
I think, one, I'm always seeking to understand. I don't think I always know everything, but I think seeking to understand where the market might go, revisiting things from the past, and also just staying, through mentoring young men and understanding what they like. They also keep me up to speed with what they like, what may come. Um, yeah, and I think just doing my own research, man. Really, really delving into like the internet, and not just understanding my audience, but the audiences to come. And that just keeps me super informed.
Amazing. It's interesting because I've met so many people outside of our circle that you have touched in different
Yeah,
ways, spiritually and with, advice and mentoring.
yeah.
And it always comes back to, well, how do you know Herve?
Yeah.
So it's a tight circle in Boston.
Fire.
Let's talk about breaking through challenges.
Yeah,
You mentioned in the past facing gatekeepers and setbacks early on.
yeah.
How did you navigate those barriers and carve out really your own space in the industry? I mean, for people in Boston,
Yeah.
there's no one like Herve, and people will go to him all the time to help navigate difficult situations or ask for advice.
I think with gatekeeping, I try to understand why it happens. And I think that when, rejection or anything, because gatekeeping essentially it's a form of rejection. And for me, rejection, all that means is I just need to work harder and smarter on my reach and like who can really co-sign what I'm doing. And so navigating those spaces has always taught me just work harder, work smarter, work harder, and get more creative. Get more creative in the ways that I convey a message. And sometimes the message is just the outfits that I'm putting on. You know what I mean? Or when I'm doing things like you know voiceovers. Like, what does the copywriting look like? Am I elevating my pitch? How's my tone? How's my delivery? So just understanding that my skill set can help me reach different audiences. I just have to work a little smarter. That's all.
It's interesting because I think I speak for a lot of people who are watching this who know Herve. He's got a gravity to him that you can't help but not get sucked in. He's a presence in our community. All right, this is one that I always have a little bit of difficulty with. Balancing creativity and business. In essence, you're a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Styling, creative consulting, event curation, which I've been to several that were amazing,
Yeah.
and even voiceover work.
Yeah.
How do you juggle all those different creative outlets while staying true to your brand?
Work-life balance, first off. That's number one. But as a person who's experienced like creative fatigue, I have days where I don't talk to anybody. I just don't talk to anybody. And I make sure that those me days are where I kind of recalibrate, realign, refocus, and like readjust where I need to. And I also made sure that with Success Is My Cologne, I created something that everything it's like a house, house, HAUS, that house, like a brand house, where there's different umbrellas, where there's an umbrella and everything falls under those tiers. So the different skills and the different things I do, it feels like just one thing. It doesn't feel like I'm doing like 19 different things until people mention it to me. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like I'm doing that. So I found a healthy way to like keep everything under one umbrella and also just recharge.
It's really important. I know for our own business, we're a small company, and there's a lot of tasks that need to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We build out quarterly plans and go back and review them. So to be able to do all that you do and be honest about taking those days for yourself,
Yeah.
it's important. You can get burnt out really quickly, especially with what you're doing, because you're out in the public all the time and you give such great energy. But a lot of times that can also drain your energy.
Yeah. You got to recharge, man.
Yeah, it's important. Okay, let's talk about the Boston Celtics.
Yes.
For some of you who are watching and don't like them, we're big fans. The Boston Celtics playoff campaign and major milestones. In my opinion, in Super Glorious's opinion, your voiceover for the Celtics playoff campaign last year was a major moment in Boston history. What did that experience mean to you, and what other career milestones have been defining you?
Last year that was big. It was big for me because growing up in like Boston public schools, Mayor Menino used to have this program called Read to Achieve, and we used to read books, and based off your district, your school, if you did really well, they would bring Celtics players to the school. So I met Paul Pierce, Mark Blunt, a whole bunch of other older Celtics guys, all because I was reading, and I always had like Celtics clothes. And so I remember my first Celtics game, I was all the way at the top. And this is when we had like the Fleet Center, and it was the yellow chairs. And I always said, man, like one day, like I want to see how I could get down there. You know what I mean? So now to be in a position where I'm not only at the games way closer to, the court, but like even when I'm not there, my voice is or my face is on the screen. Like that just speaks to like that's forever. Like no one's ever gonna be able to take that moment or take that piece of work or that from me because it's done. Like it's history. It's part of history. So that's been amazing. But from that, I've done some pretty really dope stuff. I've done some voiceover work for like travel companies. So like my voice has been on like their videos where they'll go to like there's one I've done for this company. It was in Dubai, and they were talking about I can't pronounce the building, but they paid well. Another one was for Reebok. Reebok in 2019, they had an Allen Iverson installment where they had a long shot, and Reebok had me go against I think they're called Jack Morton Digital and Reebok. They were like the marketing company that was outsourcing the work. But yeah, man, they had me go against like 15 people, and they liked mine the most.
Wow,
And
amazing.
so, that just speaks to like, you're going up against 15 people. That's like somebody has to be good, but they liked mine the most. And so that was my first major placement. I signed the NDA and I couldn't put it out for 4 years. So like nobody really knew that I did that. So
Wow,
so that kind of bothered me. But once the NDA expired, I put it on LinkedIn, and probably like 3 weeks later, I got the gig for the Celtics.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That is really amazing.
yeah.
Okay. Besides the fact that you look fly as hell, let's talk a little bit
What are the
about
vibes?
streetwear and storytelling.
Yes.
Streetwear has always been about storytelling and culture.
Hmm.
How do you use your platform to shape narratives in fashion
Hmm.
and beyond?
Super, super. I love this question. I have a word that I created. It's called backgroundification. And basically, what that is, it's the study of like locations and places that go with your outfit. And it's understanding how to pair certain looks with certain locations. And so, like, what I like to do through my IG is like, I understand the power of a powerful caption, but I also understand the power of getting a dope icy fit and then going to a location that people otherwise wouldn't have known had I not done that photo shoot.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it brings me joy. It brings me pride when people DM me like, "Yo, where is this?
Oh, wow.
Where is this?"
I'm just looking at your outfit. I don't even notice the background because I just am
Right,
like, whoa.
right. But in my experience, I've seen so many people wear like something like a suit and just go to a random neck of the woods. And it's like, this was such a failed attempt, in my opinion. My opinion is not fact, but like the powerfulness had you would have known to like wear a suit and go somewhere in Back Bay, like the John Hancock building that's like all black glass all the way up, where you look really clean and presentable, and it like sets a message. You know what I mean? So, with being able to convey like a dope story, a dope outfit, brands have trusted me to like showcase fits, you know.
All right, let's get a little bit deeper into some of the things that I think about since I'm hella older than you.
Ah, chill out, chill.
Defining legacy and success. You define success as creating opportunities for yourself and others. What impact do you hope to leave on fashion,
Yeah.
culture, and the next generation of creatives?
So for me, my purpose has always been to, challenge the status quo and let people know, like you don't need like an insurmountable amount of like backing to get like where you need to get to. I think that my message has always been through remaining ambitious, through remaining authentic. You can receive great accolades and not need many major like companies behind you or anything like that to get to where you need to get to. So essentially, man, I just want people to know, like, don't let feeling like you're not good enough keep you from getting started. And I stand on that. I stand on that. I'm a person that, I'm not, I'm 5'10", 240. I'm not an ideal model size, but I get some good modeling gigs. And so again, I'm just shaping the narrative that like you can do it if you enter something with intentionality and just like the right mindset, you'll be super good.
John, do you have any follow-up questions off the top? Are you good?
First off, I want to say this isn't the first time Herve and I have hung out. We've been in my house, spent time with my family, been here for the holidays.
Been here for the holidays. Been here.
We've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
And, I get a lot of inspiration from not only what you post on your Instagram, but when you'll just call and say, just checking in, mental health check, which a lot of people don't do. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it either.
Yeah.
But you genuinely, when you connect with people, you stay connected.
Yeah.
And regardless of how busy you are, you take the time to make a call, send a text, try to get together. And it's that, when you say the building of community, it's those touch points, and you keep coming back to make sure your inner circle is tight, but also you're sharing and your knowledge with an ever expanding outer circle, or it's growing. And I think Boston is really lucky to have you here.
Thank you, for sure.
I'm going to force you never to leave the state.
I love Boston, man. Boston just needs to get me, some nice paying gigs. That's all. I'll stay out here, man. But it's anchoring relationships that have kept me like so happy. Like I've found relationships that I'll leave, come back, revisit, and then share stories from what we've done. But like I love Boston. I love the people in Boston. I love what Boston has become, especially like creatively, because 2007 we would not have been doing things like this in Boston. It was not possible. So to have things like Silk R&B Party, MFA late nights, all the fields, all these different, Huback Bay, all these different things, man, that just like are hubs for like creativity. It's super beautiful to see, man. I'm super proud to be part of the people just like pushing the needle forward. So
yeah, and I moved into the city 3 years ago, and I think within the first few months, we met through one of your friends.
Yep.
And it's a little bit daunting coming into Boston, not knowing people, to kind of find your way. And I know through our relationship, not only have you taught me a lot, but you've helped boost my confidence to kind of put myself out there more, ask the right questions, listen better. And then before I react, to just think about what's the goal, what do I want to do, and always create possibilities. One of your greatest assets is you elevate people to think about other possibilities of relationships and business.
Yeah, and just understanding, man, if you ask the right questions, you're going to get the right answers, man. That's what, because my favorite saying is a rising tide lifts all ships. And, people don't understand the power of just like really, opening the door for people to come through, but also aligning yourself with the right people that will be able to go through and just do things. So, yeah.
All right, well, I got to thank you for coming down to the lab. This has been not only very informative, but a really beautiful experience to have the time to sit with you and learn more about you. And we're going to go on to the next phase of the discussion.
Yes,
but
sir.
Again, thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Of course. My boy. Locked in.
All right, gentlemen, welcome back to the lab. Herve, excellent interview.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, John. We're about to play a game, fact or fiction. These are some culture questions, fashion questions,
Okay.
stuff like that. Keep it honest, keep it real. Let's not be too controversial because this is going on the internet.
Okay.
So we're just going to start with a quick little layup. Travis Scott, Jordan collaborations are officially played out. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. It's fiction,
Whoa.
man. It's fiction, man. Come on, man. And I'll tell you why. This is what I'll say about it, and this is my answer. I'm going to give it to you. I don't think everything with the reverse swoosh should just be fire, because it's not. We've seen a couple bricks from the Air Max ones. We've also seen like him drop like a field trainer that's like, okay, it's sitting online. But the Air Jordan 1 swoosh low, yo, and like a great like neutral color, it's flipping. It's out of here. It's selling. And because we saw, even after everything with like Astroworld, those prices went up. They went up, brother. The time for them to have really went down would have been that time, and they did not. You know what I mean? Great shoe, great colors. It's a classic, honestly. It's going to always be relevant. But I just think he needs to stay away from certain like silhouettes. I do like the Jumpman Jack, though. Love the Jumpman Jack shoe.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like when I looked at the evolution of the releases they were doing, I kept going back to the lifespan of Jordan when they first started making shoes for him, and they just kept pushing it and taking the low hanging fruit and then trying to rely on the home runs they had and like the 3s and 4s, and then the 11s or 12, and you look at something, you're like, I didn't even know this came out. It's almost like they're trying to recreate that energy with a musician. And like you said, the first few that came out, crazy. I mean, crazy to reverse the swoosh. It was just a genius move.
It was a genius move, and the color, I think the color selection with the pink laces, that's undeniable, man. Undeniable shoe. Like the Travis, like I'll take, like I don't think there's any other musician that could put out a shoe right now that would be like, because we've seen Beyonce fail with Adidas. Fail. We've watched, The Boy put out stuff with Nocta, and only a couple of those silhouettes are okay. You know what I mean? They're not really doing anything. The garment's great, like the bubble jacket, fire. But the Travis ones, crazy, man. Like,
Crazy.
Anything.
One of the most recent Nike releases that I love, and they've only done 2 colorways, are the Nego sneakers that they did.
3?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I like those.
Yeah.
I like them.
Because when I look at, and I know you do too, when I look at sneaker releases, or when an established manufacturer, Nike, a big brand, will run with something like a Travis, you're always looking for meaning behind the design, and is it pushing things forward that bring you back, like the first few releases that were just everyone wanted to get on, everyone was dying to get, and then that energy wanes. Like, how do you bring that back? How do you make people feel like they did the first time they got a pair of those shoes? And I have sneakers that I won't even open because of that energy of that one pair.
All right, gentlemen, fact or fiction? Social media has made it easier for tastemakers to thrive, but also harder to stand out.
I don't know if I'm a tastemaker, so I'm going to let you have this one.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. It's made it easier to thrive for sure. It can be harder to stand out because I'll tell you, as a person who's a tastemaker and in the creative realm, people always DM me like, why don't you do get ready with me's? Why don't you do any get ready with me's? And for me, I just feel like it's kind of gimmicky in my opinion. So like, you have to do some extra work to stand out for sure, which is why you have to diversify your portfolio of skill set, like a voiceover, event curation, experiential curation. So you got to get in your bag with like certain things to stand out, because if you're just doing the same 1-2 skidoo, it's not gonna really show.
And you know, the people that today are, you know, like Pharrell, and you look
Yeah.
at Nego and certain people that are standing out today, they were doing this pre-internet.
Yes.
You know, they were
Yeah.
testing their hands in so many different avenues of fashion, of business,
Yeah.
of partnerships, you know, music,
Yeah.
movies, voiceovers, like all the things you're doing. And I think it's people forget that. Like they try to create this online persona, and they stay in their lane. And regardless of how many followers they have, it gets old because they're not pushing themselves and taking risks.
At all.
Thank you. Fact or fiction? Nike SB Dunks are the most artificially hyped sneakers in history.
Ooh,
Artificially hyped. I don't.
can I go first?
Yeah.
Because I'm a couple years older.
Yeah, like two.
Two. I think like 16 months. When the first Nike SBs came out, you know, my head exploded. Like the Genos and the Zoo Yorks and all the print magazine ads that would show the shoes, and you just be looking at them, and the way the tongues were and the laces, everything about it just blew my mind. And I always go back when a new one comes out and think about that energy of those first, you know, 2.5 years of releases. And I don't think I've bought a pair of SBs in years because they can't recapture it. I mean, when you get lightning in a bottle like that,
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up for failure if you keep trying to come back.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing it and you're bringing the vibes of that. So, like, why don't they bring Gino back, Danny Supa, the guys that first started it, and have them do their own re-release where they're really involved? Because the OGs are gonna jump all over it and really put it under a microscope. But you know, in some ways, we're the ones responding to the market. So the people in our circle will say, "What do you think?"
Yeah. Yeah, but there's definitely like artificially hyped. I don't know, but I will say that like when certain like I definitely see Nike coming back out the archives with certain like I'm praying for like some MF Dooms to drop again, man, because that feeling is like whoa. Like when you see those in person, it's like whoa. Like a Mork and Mindy, you know what I mean? Those all different SBs. It's like yo, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, you think about how China grants us a couple pandas to some zoos. Like, I can't see another panda on someone's feet ever.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Crazy. Yeah, man. It's the pandas. You know, they had their moment. But yeah, nah. That's it.
Okay, gents. Hype culture has made people lazy about developing real personal style.
100%. 300%.
Yeah.
300%, man. We see the what's those people called that just do like they just go on Grailed and they look for like expensive pieces and they just throw it on and then like they'll tell you they're stepping like I don't care how much that Balenciaga shirt you have on was. It's trash, bro. Like it's trash, bro. It's trash, bro. You know what I mean? So I want people to understand like, yo, there's so many ways to get fresh. There's so many ways to get fresh without being like a label whore. You know what I mean? Or like, I always appreciated like brands when they have like the quiet luxury pieces. That's just like, oh, this is a vibe. You know what I mean? And I have people ask you like, yo, what is this? Like, yo, what's that? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just lazy. It's just lazy, and people love skipping. Naturally, I noticed they want to skip blood, sweat, and tears and get straight to benefits. So as long as I can get the compliments and I can get added to like being a fly guy, like I want to skip all the steps it took to learn about the brand and like what really makes this brand what it is, and I just want to get straight to being fly. That's it. I don't want to go through no struggles. Like me growing up, I wore FUBUs, wore Machiavelli sneakers because that's all we had. Once I started tapping in with Reeboks and Pumas, I was like, okay. Soccer jerseys, I'm like, all right, we're getting right. My cousins started putting me on with the tannery. I was probably like middle school. I was like, all right, word, you know what I mean? But like people want to skip all that and just get straight to like Balenci. Like it can't be that way. So
Yeah, 100%. I grew up in skateboard culture, and my reference points were rap music, specifically like Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, and punk rock. So I kind of resisted European fashion and high fashion brands for a very long time. But when you start to learn more about how things are created and the people that are doing it, it's inspirational. Like I could watch a documentary about Ralph Simmons and get as much joy as watching, Game 7 of last year's NBA championship with the Celtics. I know it's kind of corny, but it's the truth because I want to leave any setting with someone or an event with more energy than I came in with. And that is hard to do. And that takes, a lot of thought.
It does. It does.
All right, gents. Fact or fiction? Palace is just supreme for people who think they're different.
I love Palace. So
I love Palace too, but I agree with that. I
don't agree with that.
I agree with that one, man.
Yeah.
It's Palace is just like, I think Palace is Supreme adjacent. Like they even from the way they release their stuff, like the way they release their stuff, the quality of the stuff they release, the style of stuff. Like I noticed, like I don't know too many other brands that put out like unique parkas aside of like parkas and like anoraks. Supreme puts out some great pieces. Palace does the same thing. Obviously, like when they put out stuff, like I said, I mentioned previously, like even when they sell out, like they sell out almost immediately. Supreme does the same thing. It's like their strategy is very close. Even when you enter the store, it's like almost like the same culture. But Palace is a little bit more elevated. Like when you go in, there's like a statue, somebody peeing or something like that.
Yeah, Greek statue.
It's
yeah,
a Greek statue. You know. What
yeah.
I mean?
The one in London is a lot different. I mean, I'm a big Palace guy, and for a lot of different reasons. But I also grew up in New York around the time when James Jebbia had his skate shop. And I'll say this: if it's not broke, you don't have to fix it. But Palace has such a tongue-in-cheek, laughing at ourselves, where English and that humor comes through, because they'll put things out knowing it's kind of trash and put a collection together where there are banger pieces, and they're making fun of themselves. And they do it specifically because they want people to see that they're not taking themselves too seriously. And then they'll go after, like, you can't see it now because we're filming this way, but the Palace Gucci Tri-Ferg bag, the leather crossbody bag, it's behind Tony, our filmer. But those pieces, like, I don't think this thing has ever been out of my sight in I don't know how long. And yeah, that Gucci piece is crazy.
This is a vibe, though.
It's a vibe. Though. And they can't do that often, but to take that chance, and the Triceratops loves this too. But like this will I will have this the rest of my life, and if I use it again, it'll be a miracle. But this, to me, I come back to this all the time and think, oh, another drop from Palace. Look at it for 5 minutes. I don't get energy from any of the pictures that are there. Might read a couple articles or call somebody at the Palace store, and then I'll pass. And that happens a lot. But once in a while, let's say twice or 3 times if you're lucky, for Supreme and Palace, they put something out that you're like,
With Supreme, like, there's a couple things that stuck out for me. Like, I remember when they dropped the Mary J. Blige tee. I love that. Growing up, my first cassette were John B. and Buju Banton. So when that Buju Banton collection dropped, like, I was like, damn, like, I need that. I need that shirt. And also, what other stuff has Supreme dropped that I really love? I really love Supreme's, like, beanies. Like, their beanies, their hats, like, they go really hard with those pieces for me. So,
yeah, like, some of the collaborations Supreme will do with furniture makers. The Airstream they did. Now they only made, supposedly 4. To me, that's pushing outside of not only what they're trying to sell, but talking about the sense of the entire universe of what Supreme can be connected to. The Supreme Burberry collaboration, that pink trucker jacket, the Levi's trucker jacket, absolute fire.
Yeah.
Absolute fire.
Yeah.
The button downs they did in pink and the traditional Burberry
Yeah.
color in like a silk rayon, fire. And that's a huge risk. You know, you see brands that the CEOs, the voices of the company,
Yeah.
they're not taking those risks. They're staying in their lane. I'm not going to mention names, but there are brands that do a really good job, but they don't take any risk. And I'll say this: if you haven't been to the ALD store in New York, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like Teddy Santis, the stuff they're doing now, mind blowing. And I just give him a lot of credit for staying in his lane and just keep pushing what he can do.
A lot of brands have followed suit after him. But
Oh yeah.
I'm a big Polo Ralph Lauren fan, so I could see the Ralph Lauren like influence in like ALD stuff. But like ALD, I've seen a lot of people like brands wise, they follow his like, even his editorial shoots, like how he puts them out. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Got it. So this is actually, I'm going to modify this question to a two-part question. Fact or fiction?
A twofer.
In the future, styling and creative direction will matter more than individual brands. And the reason I ask this is because you're looking at like Nego and Nike,
Yeah.
Virgil and LV, Pharrell and LV. Or do brands need these styling creative direction injections, so to speak, to stay the course?
100%. You have to
Yeah,
have that.
100%. Yeah.
You look at like what Jurgen Teller's doing now as a photographer for Balenciaga, and it's bringing people to the brand that have left, or people that didn't think that it was accessible to them, because the media they're creating are getting people to be curious about what the brand's about. And I think you have to constantly be doing that, because you know the big 800-pound gorilla in streetwear is Supreme. And last year they were talking about how they didn't hit their numbers. They had to sell after the acquisition, and they're with VF Corp.
Yep.
And
They sold for like $2 billion.
yeah, 2 billion. Then they sold.
Yeah.
I can't remember the company for 1.5 that they
It's
flipped
like
it.
some Wagenschwartz, some name, I forget.
Yeah, Glockenspiel and Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those people that can reintroduce the brand, and it has to be authentic. You can't just get someone and say, this is Kim Kardashian for Palace.
No.
I mean, no one's going to believe it.
It doesn't
But
align,
you have to have the right person that understands. I think the beauty of what's going on with Louis Vuitton and Pharrell is that he really appreciates the history, and they've given him creative control to do what he wants and put his stamp on it, and it works. Like the whole cowboy theme that he did last year, and then this last fall winter with Nego, completely different.
Thanks.
Completely
What's those
different.
glasses called too? The millionaire.
The millionaire glasses that he wore. Yeah. Yeah. The millionaire glasses. I mean, look, you're not going to buy a $1 million yellow ostrich LV bag like he had.
Was that the one that had the gold chains and shit?
Yeah.
That shit was tough.
Tough.
That shit was
But I
tough.
mean, and no one's sitting there going, God, I'm going to spend $1 million to get the bag. But the point that he was just carrying it nonchalantly, I appreciate that, just from the aspect of, I don't really care how much money you have or what you have on you to show that you're flossing and you've got heat, but it's how you carry yourself with anything. I mean, here's my Triceratops. I could carry this just like Pharrell did. And sometimes it's those people that can laugh at themselves a little bit,
Yeah.
that then pull you in, and you can have the conversation with about, well, why do you have that, or what are you wearing?
Statement piece.
Statement piece. And Pharrell, I think, in a lot of ways, or I know in a lot of ways, he's the first guy to laugh at himself, and takes what he's doing very seriously. He loves the creative process, but he also understands that what he's trying to do is bring joy to people who can relate to his expression of how LV is interpreted now for him.
So here's my follow-up. How do you think LV was effective in effectively having Tyler's LV collaboration and Pharrell's LV collaboration work simultaneously and almost feel like two completely different brands?
With Tyler, like I really love the whole aviation, like old like 1800 aviation vibe. I really love that. And a lot of Tyler
Shazam.
fire. So fire. But also with Tyler, there was a lot of like dope luggage wear. A lot of that, man. I thought that was really cool. But with Pharrell, I think it's more than just like a collection. I think it's a feeling. Like with Pharrell, he's bringing back all these different glasses. Man, mastermind. Gremlin don't know how to act, man.
You have to hit him on the head if he's really bad.
I'm saying like
Yeah,
acting,
yeah, yeah. Just don't get him wet.
this koofy smack.
Just don't get them wet. That's when they get bad.
Yeah, that's when they turn green.
Yep.
What else with that collection with Pharrell? I don't know. Like everything Pharrell is doing with LV right now is just very player. That's the only way I can describe it.
And it's so different than what Virgil,
Yeah.
did with the brand too. And I think his shows were so different one after the other, and so theatrical. And the vibe of what Pharrell is doing is it resonates with who he is as a human being. And he's a little older now, so he's really thinking about what he wants to express and what he can show people what he's feeling, what his true essence is.
Yeah, thanks.
Got it. All right, Vince. Well, speaking of Virgil, Off-White has lost its edge since Virgil's passing. R.I.P.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely lost its edge because no one's gonna. That's just in life. No one's gonna spearhead something the way the creator did. You know what I mean? So like, granted, I believe his wife is like still pushing that envelope forward with Off-White, but like, it's never gonna be as like crazy as it was before because he had a one of one mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I still love Off-White, and I go back to our curation think tank in parts undisclosed in Massachusetts, and we'll pull old Off-White pieces and just love certain things that he did. But I can remember when I literally, my head exploded with understanding Off-White or being impressed by it. I was in the Greek islands, and he had a pop-up shop in either Mykonos or Santorini. I think it was Mykonos. And the store, which barely had a sign, was a bird aviary. So when you walked in, there were plants and bird noises everywhere, and the clothes were buried in these like jungle depictions. So it's just fake trees, fake bushes, and fake birds everywhere with noise, and then the clothes were buried in it. And I
Fire.
kept looking around. I'm like, wait, there's Off-White in here. And I walked outside and saw the little sign out front. And it's just, I think with the latest fashion show they just had, I was watching it live. A lot of new great designs, but I think when you have that much of a period of drop ball or it just doesn't connect, to bring people back in takes a year, 2 years. Burberry's starting to do it, and for a long time Burberry was, in my opinion, just stale, dead, cold.
Yeah.
And they're starting to do some great things now.
They are.
Okay. Fact or fiction? You can't really be a tastemaker if you're only following trends.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head, bro.
Yep.
If you're only following trends, that's where you already lost in the sauce. I think the whole point in being a tastemaker is literally bringing taste to such things. And I think through like loving what you love, you're able to, I wouldn't say convince, but bring people to terms with like, hey, this is fly. You all should buy this or deal with this or go here. The name tastemaker is really just making the taste, making what's fire, what's hot, what's deemed trustworthy. So love that question. Fire.
What was the question? Can you say it again? Because I had a thought and then I got lost in the smell of cologne and forgot what I was going to say.
You can't really be a tastemaker if you're only following trends.
Yeah, well, first off, the amount of trends that we can process given the social media platforms that are available now, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anyone can decide very quickly what they feel when a trend comes out or a new brand. And we could name 30 names in 10 seconds about brands that were hot 6 months ago that now they're on discount or people are throwing into garbage
Yeah,
cans because no
yeah,
one wears them anymore.
yeah.
But personal taste making, I think, comes from experiencing things that you love and that work for you, and then also appreciating how you can express yourself regardless if you have to have the latest of something. I mean, OAMC is one of my favorite brands. Very under the radar. The guys who started it were originally with Supreme, but they stay in their lane. It's consistent. It's I think of it as the streetwear or the working man's Lord Piana. Great materials, very understated. You can wear the stuff anywhere. And people who know. Now, obviously, Lord Piana is extremely expensive, but they're not trying to tell you this is their brand by if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a big part of being a tastemaker is not pushing it down someone's throat. It's staying in what works for you, and if people ask you, you explain why you like something.
Yeah.
Not like a screaming jacket with the brand 80 times on it.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
Okay, fact or fiction. Amiri jeans are just overpriced biker denim with a wrapper tax.
Bro, yes.
I can't fit into them because you can't see
Fact.
from this camera angle, but I got some junk in the trunk and I've never fit into this.
Why do you think that has happened? Like, what's going on with Amiri?
This is the thing with Amiri.
Now though, they've completely changed. Like the last couple.
This is what I'll say about Amiri. First of all, their runway stuff, amazing. Their runway stuff is amazing. And I think some of their stuff that are like I have a pair of Amiri overalls, super fire.
I didn't even know they made overalls.
Yo, fire. Fire. When I tell you the overalls are fire.
I'm gonna have to borrow this.
Yeah, they're fire. I'm gonna show you those. But I think when brands are trying to appeal to a certain audience, I think they sit in meetings and say, "Yo, what's hot right now? Like, what should we do?" And I think that was around the time biker jeans were really making a push. And they just put out something that looked, maybe some of their favorite culture people.
How did those jeans get so hot? I just don't
hate those
understand.
things. Once you drop something in a song and people aren't familiar with it, it's the same thing with Cristal.
Yeah.
A rapper drops that in a song, all of a sudden people are like, Cristal, well, I got money. Well, if I want to be deemed like I'm getting money, I got to drink Cristal. Or if I want to be deemed like I'm getting money, I have to have Amiri jeans. So once certain artists start dropping that in songs, not only does the company, become more like they're making more money, but
I'm gonna get behind chicken shawarma and try to blow that up.
chicken shawarma.
Shawarma.
Fire. But yeah, Amiri jean, like the biker jeans, man, terrible thing, terrible investment, but their other stuff is fire.
Yeah.
This one's a little spicy.
How spicy?
Spicy.
Okay.
Sriracha.
Balenciaga has recovered from the controversy. Fact or fiction?
Oh, they definitely recovered.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely recovered. They definitely recovered because everybody swept it under the rug. But what I will say with Balenciaga is they had a terrible year last year. It wasn't that good. They were probably lowest on the totem pole of putting out fire
Did they
stuff.
recover because of their work, or did they recover because people are just quick to forget?
Oh,
People are very quick to
people
forget.
are quick to forget.
But I will say, since that time, I think there's been a lot of intentionality about how they can move away from any of the styles and color palettes and fabrics to keep to really distance themselves. Like they just came out with a denim trucker jacket that the whole back is a hoodie. So it's got two different materials sewn together. I've never seen it, and the hood is built into the collar.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it just came out, and I was looking at it, I'm like, this is amazing, because I've never seen where they took two different garments, put it together, and it actually worked. Now,
I seen it with Greg Loren once or twice.
yeah, and Greg Loren, Greg Loren does incredible stuff. But even this year, you started noticing on his website, way earlier, 40, 50% off. You know, I think people weren't resonating, and it's expensive. Like his stuff is incredible. His pants are amazing, but they are really expensive.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Really expensive. Yeah.
Talk to me.
The Triceratops is getting thirsty, so we're gonna have to get some. He drinks Perrier.
Be careful which one to ask. Okay, you know I'll do it. Speaking of Gucci collabs, like Adidas and North Face, sometimes they feel a little forced or gimmicky.
Oh, the Supreme North Face. I'm gonna go away from that for a second. The Supreme North Face collabs year after year. They should just stop. It's like, you know, who needs
a money grab.
It's a money grab. It's a total money grab.
Because it's always gonna sell. It's a money grab.
And then you see, like, I'll be out and see another jacket that I've never known came out because I wasn't interested in the drop. Yeah. And they're like, oh, it came out in 2019. You're like, really?
When?
Like, yeah. You know how?
That's like a staple piece. Supreme North Face collab is literally like they're like, okay, let's drop this. It's like that's like a.
Well, they plan out their calendar year, and it's the box logo, you know, the hoodies, the crew necks, the North Face collab. It's going to go here. Then we're going to build. There's a strategy of how you build up to it, the crescendo, and then coming back down, and then trying to, you know, reach a new height with, you know, more demand with something like a fire collaboration. Yeah. But, you know, I love the Gucci brand, but it's suffered dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years. And they'll put out some fire pieces, but it's so hard once you've really lost connection with the brand to get back re-energized. It just is.
Facts. I like what Gucci did with Adidas, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With Adidas, I do like what they did.
The Gucci Adidas was like the ZX 800s, those running shoes, the torsion box ones.
It was that one, but then I think it was was it the Gazelle or the Samba?
Oh, maybe it might have been the Gazelle.
They did a Gazelle or a Samba, and I was like, this is clean.
Yeah.
I liked it. I was like, this is clean. The colors.
And the Balenciaga, was it Balenciaga Gucci triple S's? Yep.
There was a Adidas Balenciaga collab that I really liked. I liked their pieces.
Yeah.
They had like a high collared, like long sleeve. They had a hoodie. I was like, yeah, this is tough. I mean, so.
And you know, those quote unquote tastemakers or those instantly hyped people you see won't jump on that, and they won't even know about the stuff that came 5 to 10 years before.
That's why they all have stylists, because they just don't. A lot of these people, like, the only reason they're wearing flats is because they have money.
Right.
It's not because they have style. It's because you have money and you have certain people around you that are willing to style you. It's not because you know how to dress. So, yeah, that's it.
Can you say that again?
These people cannot dress. They just have money, and they have stylists. And a lot of their sidebar, Doechii, whoever is styling Doechii, doing amazing right now. Doechii,
oh my God, the Tom Brown stuff.
It's been going crazy.
Those Tom Brown outfits on her and her dancers.
Yeah, crazy.
Was probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest fashion highlights of the last 10 years.
Yeah, Doechii. Right now, my favorite people that have been getting styled, we're just veering off. Coleman Domingo, been going crazy. He's a great actor. He's in the movie Sing Sing. If you haven't seen it, go watch that. Coleman Domingo's been going crazy. Doechii's been going crazy. Who else has been doing a really great job? Whoever's been styling Michael Rainey Jr. For his events like awards, they've been doing a great job as well.
You know, I've been watching like what Timothy Chalamet's wearing, and you know, he loves to, you know, he's so self-deprecating. Yes. He just loves to make fun of himself, and he had to wore a Chrome Hearts full leather outfit, and I saw him in an interview where he's talking, and he just said, "I don't know that I'm cool enough to wear this."
That's cool. He had this one piece that I went searching for. I think it was a pink Martine Rose bubbled, like a puffer jacket. Crazy piece. So like him, Chalamet, he's been doing his thing too. I've been liking what he's been doing. So we're not completely lost. It's just people have great stylists, and sometimes people just have money. So that's it.
All right, gentlemen, final question. This kind of sums up the whole dialogue in terms of culture, collaborations, and partnerships. And it goes back to the original game, which is streetwear. Streetwear is no longer about culture. It's just another commodity. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of brands that just started from an actual passion, skateboard culture, hip hop culture, things like that, but now they've evolved into multi-billion-dollar collaborations.
Yeah.
Has streetwear lost itself in the streets?
To a degree.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable that as when you start to your self awareness is brought into a community because of, let's say, fashion and streetwear. When I think of streetwear, 35 years ago, there wasn't really, there wasn't any brands that you would wear. I mean, you'd wear Converse All Stars, the cloth ones. There were no brands that would be making hoodies or pants. And skaters chose, you decided what was cool because of what skaters were wearing. And then Sean Stussy came on the
The
scene.
legend.
The legend.
The legend.
There was Jimmy Z's, if anyone remembers that. Sean Stussy came out, and then this company called Jimmy Z's, which was, in my opinion, it was like the Rude or the Casa. I'm trying to think of that fashion brand that has like the really bright and bold colors that does like great beachwear. Casablanca.
Casablanca.
It was like the Casablanca of skateboard culture. But the history of certain brands and how they've evolved now, you don't need to make something and try to be a part of streetwear. You've got to do it because it's an expression of yourself through clothes as a physical medium.
Okay.
Like I'm 100% behind this brand called Earthling VIP. I know one of the owners. They're great people. They do super
jeans,
creative, crazy jeans.
Yeah.
These like basic white ones they made for me, but they are constantly getting called to work on projects because they're so true to themselves and their love of fashion, but for how they see it. They're not trying to take, okay, did you see this Balenciaga hoodie or do you see this old Vetements piece? And this is the way we're going to change it. And we're going to dress this way. And we're going to have this car in a photo shoot. And this is how we're going to represent ourselves. Like Vanson, like what's going on with Vanson right now? And they have the Fly Genius jackets. And people are doing the motorcycle jackets, the Cafe Racer jackets. Those jackets were amazing 25 years ago. And now people are just looking at it again. Vanson's in Fall River.
Yeah.
It's a Massachusetts brand. They've always made great jackets, and now they're doing colorways, and people are like jumping all over it. Yeah. It's like the history of that. That's, it's not streetwear, but that's where it comes from. That organic love for fashion, and now everyone's jumping all over it. You can't, it's almost like you have to grow your brand by having people think you're a part of the streetwear culture. When you should just stay in your lane, and people are going to gravitate to it, and you're a good person, and you're explaining what you're trying to do visually, and when you're in front of a camera and doing a podcast, it's going to connect with the right people. I mean, we did this interview earlier, and when this is done, people are going to get shook listening to you, because I was sitting here kind of getting emotional hearing you, because you don't get that humility and the truth from people about how they feel about what they're doing and how they evolved. It's like this the embellished story about, this is who I am and this is why it's cool.
Bro, it's okay to start where and I tell people this so comfortably, man, like I was really going to like L&M Bargain and I was going to Burlington Coat Factory, and those are like my highlights of like the school year, because I was like, I'm going to get like this amount. I started off with the FUBU sneakers, the Machiavelli sneakers, and then we would go to visit my cousins in Flatbush in New York, and there was this store called Vim, and I would get a budget for the year. I would get like $250. You would be like, yo, this is $250, $300. You need to figure it out. At the time, they used to always have deals on dunks, so I would always get like 2 shirts, 2 jeans, 2 pairs of dunks, and maybe like a hoodie, and that was my budget. And this was like sixth grade, 7th grade. I'm getting a budget and I'm getting creative with styling. I'm getting creative with like being able to make sure I have enough pieces, and like getting hand-me-downs from my family just to like get fresh, So the first time I won Best Dressed, like it meant a lot to me because I put in the work. Like I didn't have, my parents giving me like boatloads of money to get J's. No, bro, I was going outside shoveling snow and mowing lawns, and I was getting money, and we would go to this store called J City. And J City, that's where you'd get like a whole bunch of like Tony the Tiger rendition shirts, Jabot's, Dickie shirts, Dickie's pants.
Maurice Francois Gerbeau.
Exactly. So like these are where you would go, and like this is like my upbringing. So like now that I'm able to do like partnerships with brands and like get free boxes of shoes and stuff like that, it means a lot to me because I know I started down here. You know, but people's issue is that they just want to cut all that and just get fresh. There's nothing wrong with getting fresh, but you got to understand like why you're able to do this. You have to understand it's like some people never want to have to drive a hoopty, which is cool. You want to just drive the Benz. And hey, that's cool, but like sometimes you get to appreciate things more when you start off at a certain place.
Oh yeah, my dad made me pay 50% of any item that he thought was too expensive, and a magazine in Boston interviewed me, and I talked about how the first time I could get a pair of sneakers because I was born severely pigeon-toed and I had braces and then wore black corrective shoes. I was in gym wearing floor shine black leather shoes.
Sheesh.
The orthopedist said I could go get sneakers, my dad didn't take me to the Foot Locker. He took me to the Converse factory outlet where they had they had shoes that were slightly imperfect.
Yeah.
And I looked at this pair of shoes. They were like $5.25, and they had a huge flaw right in the front, but they were sneakers. And I swore on that day I was going to start trying to make my own money. So if I wanted to get a $10 pair of sneakers or a real pair of Chuck Taylors, I would do it. I'll never forget
But
that.
these are the stories that are important.
Yeah.
Like these are the things that are important. Like some people are like FUBUs. I never had FUBUs, bro. You don't know struggle, man.
I had tough skin jeans. They had built-in knee pads.
Yeah.
They were sanforized. You could pour water on it, it would just peel off.
Yeah, that's fire.
Sears.
That's what's up, man.
Oh, so now that we finished this hour and a half of Q&A, I just wanted to say from my heart, sincerely, not only do I value our friendship,
Yes.
but to hear these stories today, not only inspire